Live in Western Oregon, this is NBC 16 News at 11.
Developing foreign policy issues swirling around the White House tonight. Good evening and thanks for joining us on NBC 16 News at 11. I'm Alexis Thrower. Alan Matthews is off. First, lingering questions and strong reactions to President Trump's history-making steps into North Korean territory this weekend. And Iran makes a major departure from the 2015 nuclear deal today. NBC's Craig Boswell is at the White House.
Today, Washington is asking what prompted President Trump to take this hastily arranged, history-making step into North Korea, a surprise echoed by Kim Jong-un.
I've never expected to meet you at this place.
The president becoming the first sitting U.S. president to cross the demilitarized zone and onto North Korean soil Sunday.
It's just an honor to be with you.
The president today trying to cast the meeting in hopeful terms, but critics wonder if the president gave up a strategic advantage in elevating the North Korean leader and whether this made-for-TV moment was just that.
Dictators generally don't trust anybody, so I'm not really quite certain whether this bromance diplomacy is really going to lead to a denuclearization agreement.
The administration is pushing back against a New York Times report that new nuclear negotiations the two leaders agreed to restart would be a freeze. Analysts questioning if that means Pyongyang would keep its nuclear arsenal.
What we want them to do is destroy some of them with verification, curb their use, not just freeze new production.
North Korea getting its mileage from the meeting, releasing a dramatic propaganda video complete with music. The nuclear deal with Iran is also in focus, as Tehran has broken a nuclear fuel stockpile limit. Some believe the Trump administration can use this to its advantage.
It's going to allow President Trump to build a coalition against Iran.
The limit was set by the 2015 nuclear deal the president pulled out of last year. Craig Boswell, NBC News, Washington.
Now to Hong Kong, where 500,000 protesters took to the streets, but also clashes also broke out, with some activists breaking into a government building and police firing tear gas. NBC's Bill Neely is there tonight with the details.
Tonight, mayhem in Hong Kong. Riot police firing tear gas, scattering thousands of protesters. They had stormed the main government building, demanding the end of a law tightening China's grip on the city.
This isn't just a Hong Kong crisis. This is the biggest popular challenge to China's President Xi since he came to power 7 years ago.
Before the violence, hundreds of thousands marched peacefully today. The fourth mass protest against China's hand-picked leader here. They want her fired.
It's been a heated couple of weeks since Republican senators walked out in Salem to protest the cap-and-trade bill. Sunday, it all came to a close as legislators wrapped up the 2019 session. Legislators voted on more than 100 bills this weekend. Some of the most notable that passed include paid medical leave, which would give families 12 weeks of paid leave from work, and the controversial bill 2001, which allows multifamily homes in areas zoned for single-family houses, an effort to boost housing supply. In Lane County, some big wins, including funding for a new courthouse, the Eugene YMCA, and a late-night vote on Sunday to officially save the Leeburg hatchery from closing.
It looked so many times like it was not going to happen, and then when it finally did, it was just an amazing feeling that our voices were heard in the Capitol, and that's just so great.
A major bill that took one step closer to law was a possible 2% cigarette tax. Voters will have the final say on that bill in the 2020 general election. Oregon minimum wage workers are getting a pay raise. The minimum wage across the state is going up 50 cents an hour. Workers in non-urban counties will make $11, and the standard will be 25 cents more than that, which will be $11.25. Make sure to check your pay stubs to ensure your employer is upping your pay. On to a first look at weather. NBC 16's meteorologist Travis Knutson joins us now. Travis.
A lot of low clouds across western Oregon today. Thunderstorms seen for the high desert, which have since moved on out to the northwest. And what's left behind is some quieter conditions for the state of Oregon. Tomorrow, nice and quiet as well, with some clouds around the region. Any moisture we see getting into our Tuesday will remain up across the higher elevations. But starting off Tuesday on the cloudy side, without a doubt, as we get into the afternoon, we'll start to see some of those clouds break apart, and a little more sunshine is on the way tomorrow than what we had today. Now, as far as our low temperatures are concerned, we'll be in the 50s for many locations. Those highs tomorrow warming up a bit more than where we were today. 60s on the coast and some mid-70s for inland areas. Temperatures keep on warming. I'll tell you how much so in my forecast coming up in just a couple minutes.
In Texas, word that investigators have recovered the cockpit voice recorder from the small plane that crashed into a hangar shortly after takeoff outside Dallas, killing all 10 people on board. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez reports.
The plane just crashed into the building here at Addison. After the fiery crash that could be seen for miles, tonight federal investigators are trying to find out how all 10 people on that plane were killed.
Pilots were cleared for takeoff. They acknowledged takeoff, and at this point, we are not aware of any further communication.
The twin-engine Beechcraft Super King Air 350, like this one, slammed into an unoccupied hangar at Addison Airport, north of Dallas, seconds after takeoff Sunday morning.
Everybody just stand by. We had a accident on the field, so expect not to go out anytime soon.
Cell phone video shows thick black smoke billowing from the hangar moments after the crash. Authorities have surveillance video that shows the entire incident. The plane briefly went airborne and was rolling over when it crashed into the hangar.
The fact that it lost control as soon as it lifted off, and that's indicative of a single engine failure. One of the engines not producing the required amount of thrust. So the other engine, the good engine, literally rolls the airplane.
Officials say the plane was on its way to St. Petersburg, Florida. 2 crew members and 8 passengers were killed, among them Gina and Steve Thielen, a realtor, who had spoken to our Dallas station KXAS last year.
That was Gabe Gutierrez reporting. Also killed in that crash, high school students Alice and Dylan Miriato and their mother and stepfather, Ornelia and Brian Ellert.
Very sad, obviously. He recently just pitched, and I mean, just died too young.
The sudden death of a Los Angeles Angels player is sending shockwaves through Angels fans, staff, and Major League Baseball. A sign at the entrance to Angel Stadium paid tribute to Tyler Skaggs. The 27-year-old was making a name for himself on the mound and was a draw to those emotionally connected to the team. He was found dead today at a hotel in Southlake, Texas, hours before the team was set to play the Texas Rangers. Among the first to show up at the stadium, 2 brothers who say baseball is in their hearts. They brought flowers and a hat, while others left team mementos, including a rally, monkeys, and even a Little League baseball cap from their children. The city of Sutherland is asking drivers to avoid a high-traffic area. Valentine Avenue is being rebuilt for pedestrian safety. The project includes new pavement, subgrade repair, and new sidewalks. City officials expect the improvements will help drivers and pedestrians.
It's a very narrow street, as you can see, and the pedestrians shared that area with the cars, and it's quite heavily used, so it wasn't safe and it was rough, and so it was time.
Swan says the street connects drivers to different areas of town. Drivers are being asked to detour through Everest Street. Construction on Valentine Avenue will continue through September. Large amounts of garbage and human waste could bring changes to the way camping sites are managed in the Siskiyou-Rogue River National Forest. According to the Forest Service, signs were put up last year after the problem got out of hand. It also became an issue in Lane County, where trash is being found in the Willamette National Forest. A spokesperson for the Forest Service says anything that's not disposed of can be considered trash.
Even things like orange peels, nut shells, all of those are considered trash. So anything that you bring with you, pack it in, you pack it out. So if it wasn't there when you got there, then you need to take it with you when you leave.
She says some national forests have actually closed recreational sites after trash became unmanageable, but there are no plans now to do that in the Willamette National Forest. With warmer weather on the way, fire restriction levels are rising. The Douglas Forest Protective Association is increasing the industrial fire precaution to level 2. Industrial operators and others working in the forest cannot perform certain activities from 1 to 8 o'clock in the afternoon. That includes cable yarding and the use of power saws, except on loading docks.
And this is the time of year when we don't want fires because they have the possibility of becoming large, devastating fires. So these are put in place to try and minimize that.
The industrial fire precaution level also requires at least a 2-hour fire watch. The increased level does not apply to the public. Coming up next on NBC 16 News at 11, a poison scare out of Facebook's mailroom facility in the Silicon Valley. Plus, a new study shows that grandparents may not be doing enough to keep prescription drugs out of reach from their grandchildren. And if you see breaking news, make sure you give us a call at 541-393-KMTR, that's 5687, or send an email to newsdesk@kmtr.com.
Tomorrow on NBC 16 Today.
Wake up with us
at 11.
Breaking news from California's Silicon Valley, where Facebook employees were alerted to the possible presence of a deadly nerve agent in a company mail facility. Officials in Menlo Park say a screening device classified the suspicious mail as a potential chemical warfare agent. The discovery forcing an evacuation of several buildings. NBC's Miguel Almaguer has late details.
Fires en route, code 3.
Racing to deploy their hazmat team to Facebook, the Menlo Park Fire Department took no chances. First responders and the FBI arriving on the massive campus, quarantining the mailroom where a suspicious package arrived this afternoon.
We haven't made entry yet to go verify what the possible is.
Though the fire department could not immediately confirm what was inside the package, early reports indicate possible exposure to sarin, a nerve agent used in chemical warfare.
They had a positive hit for sarin, possibly in one of the packages.
At 11 a.m., Facebook says the package triggered an alarm. We evacuated 4 buildings and are conducting a thorough investigation in coordination with local authorities.
They put it back in the machine and it came up positive again.
Tonight, as they try to positively identify the substance, 2 employees who may have been exposed show no symptoms after a scare at Facebook. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News.
Grandparents are not doing enough to secure their prescription medication from their grandchildren. Researchers surveyed more than 2,000 adults, and more than 80% said they did not change their storage habits when their grandchildren visited. The biggest locations grandparents left their medication included medicine cabinets or cupboards, countertops, and inside their purses. Only 5% used a locked cupboard or cabinet, and nearly a third used a countertop or container other than what the medicine came in, including easy-to-open containers. And according to the CDC, roughly 60,000 kids younger than 5 go to the ER every year for ingesting medication. Many Americans will be spending time by the pool during the holiday week, but before you jump in, federal health officials are warning of cases involving a chlorine-tolerant parasite that is on the rise. According to the CDC, numbers of outbreaks involving Cryptosporidium, or crypto, has increased 13% each year since 2009. That parasite can cause diarrhea that could last for several weeks and is spread through the feces of infected people or animals. People can get sick after they swallow the parasite in contaminated water or food. Among the 444 cases studied, more than a third were linked to pools and water playgrounds. Experts say you should not swim if you have diarrhea and don't swallow pool water. For many Americans, celebrating the 4th of July means parades, picnics, cookouts, and of course, fireworks. But the celebration could be stressful to some. Peace Health psychologist Steve Rolnick says for combat veterans and others with post-traumatic stress disorder, explosions and fiery displays can ramp up anxiety. He says city or community fireworks shows aren't usually a problem since those are scheduled in advance. However, fireworks set off randomly can be the worst triggers for PTSD. Dr. Rolnick has advice on ways to cope.
One would be not to isolate, to try to surround yourself with a friend or friends during the course of the day, to plan for when the likelihood of such fireworks might occur.
Dr. Rolnick also recommends using noise-reducing earplugs or, if possible, leaving town for a quieter location. Turning to weather now, NBC 16's meteorologist Travis Knutson is standing by for a look at what's coming up in your full forecast. Hey, Travis.
Here's a time lapse of the day across the Willamette Valley. Low clouds, a stratus deck on tap all day long, but we have more sunshine on the way. I'll tell you when it gets here. That's my forecast next.
I put a spell on you.
Knudsen.
The first day of July was a cloudy gray one across the majority of western Oregon, keeping temperatures from warming up a whole lot. And tomorrow we repeat with the clouds, at least early on. So for our Tuesday, expect to see more gray overhead. However, unlike today, as we get into the afternoon, we'll start to see some sunshine breaking through the clouds. We'll see a wind shift as well, bringing in some warmer air from the southwest. And as a result, between the sun and the better airflow, we'll see some warmer weather start to move into the state as we get into Tuesday. Satellite and radar over the last couple of hours showing those clouds sticking with us. It'll be a mostly cloudy night, and tomorrow we'll stay on the mostly cloudy side of things as well. And even though we just had some rain, we're seeing that drought spread even more across the Pacific Northwest. Here's a look at the latest drought monitor, where the majority of the severe drought all the way up in northwestern Washington, but the Willamette Valley seeing some of that severe drought move on in. And unfortunately, the forecast is looking pretty dry in general. Also, a little bit warm. But here's a look at our precipitation outlook. This is 6 to 10 days out. And in general, the Pacific Northwest is facing a drier 6 to 10 days with the wetter weather staying across the Dakotas up into Montana. As far as our temperatures are concerned, however, things really start to warm up. Today was a cool day, but temperatures continue to rise. 6 to 10 days out, looks like the Pacific Northwest will see some very warm air move on in. That's pretty much the middle of July, so hot weather expected to move on in. It'll just take a couple days before it gets here. But here's a look at our model forecast as we head through the overnight hours into tomorrow morning. This is at 9 a.m. where you can see those low clouds filling in all across western Oregon. Once we get into the afternoon hours at 7 p.m. tomorrow, starting to see some of those clouds break apart with maybe a couple rain showers, mostly for the higher elevations up in the Cascades. Wednesday morning at 9 a.m., another cloudy gray start to the day, but those clouds clear on out by the afternoon hours and sunshine will be seen. That's kind of the trend we'll have to deal with for the next few days. Now, as far as temperatures go, we'll be in the upper 60s for many locations on the coast, starting to see winds to come from the southwest. They'll start from the north early on in the morning, but by the afternoon, southwest winds help to warm things up. Remote at 76 degrees, Drain seeing a high temperature tomorrow, about 78. Across the Willamette Valley, facing some mid-70s for our Tuesday. We'll start the day off certainly gray, but by the afternoon, the sunshine will prevail. 82 degrees for our Independence Day. The weekend should see some mid-80s as well, with a decent amount of sunshine overhead. For the coast, hanging out in the 60s for the most part, getting so close to 70 degrees on July 4th. Friday, I think, might actually make it for the Coos Bay, North Bend area, hanging out in that upper 60-degree range for the upcoming weekend as well. It's just the next couple of days where the clouds really are predominant around the area. Here's a look at the Roseburg forecast. 82 on Wednesday, our Thursday, the holiday, 85 degrees. Friday, Saturday, a lot of sunshine overhead with those mid-80s on the way. Average high for this time of year is 81 degrees. And for the most part, this forecast is firmly above that average mark.
Well, thank you so much, Travis. And those temperatures look amazing, but I'm going back to California, so I know it's going to be even hotter out there. But we're here with Hayden Herrera with sports, and I know there's the NBA free agency going on.
Yeah, some more than $3 billion spent in free agency already, and that includes deals with the Portland Trailblazers, which we will talk about. But July finally here. The Eugene Emeralds hope that with the new month comes some victories. We're going to head north to Washington as the M's look to end their long road trip on a positive note.
Time. Summer is the time to share moments and create.
16 Sports Desk is brought to you by Three Rivers Casino Resort.
The end of June was not great for the Eugene Emeralds. Sunday's loss to Hillsborough bringing the losing streak to 6 games. The M's hoping the start of a new month could reverse their current skid. Eugene facing Tri-City. The M's took 3 of 4 from the Dust Devils less than 2 weeks ago. Top of the second, man on third, Brandon Vicens. Deep to left, the sac fly going to score Jonathan Soto, and it's 1-0 Emeralds. Next half inning, bases loaded. Jordy Barley rips it down the line, clears the bags, and the Dust Devils going to take the lead. Next batter, Kelvin Moline smacks it off the pitcher Casey Ryan. Tri-City scores 5 in the second. The Emeralds would tie it up late and force extras, but the Dust Devils win on a walk-off in the 10th. 7 straight losses for the Ems. NBA free agency has begun, and as promised, the moves have been fast and furious. Nearly every team in the league making a big transaction, and that includes the Trailblazers. Rip City starting Monday by sending 2 mainstays of the program to South Beach, trading Myers Leonard and Mo Harkless to the Miami Heat in exchange for big man Hassan Whiteside. This deal part of a 4-team trade that would eventually send Harkless to the Clippers. With Whiteside in Portland, Enes Kanter became the odd man out. Kanter agreeing Monday to a 2-year deal with the Boston Celtics, and another Blazer moving on, Seth Curry. He's heading back to the Dallas Mavericks on a 4-year deal, according to Woj. And late Monday night, Shams Charania reporting that Portland has signed veteran Anthony Tolliver to a 1-year deal. Former Duck Jordan Bell most likely joining the Minnesota Timberwolves. Chris Haynes of Yahoo Sports reporting that Bell has agreed to a guaranteed deal with the T-Wolves. As a restricted free agent, the Warriors could match that offer, but with their spending in free agency, that seems unlikely and unrealistic. The start of July means the start of the NBA Summer League. Former Duck Joe Young, after a year in China, trying to work his way back into the NBA, playing for the Lakers Summer League. Mighty Joe had 6 points, 2 assists. Also in Summer League action in Salt Lake City, former Oregon State post Drew Eubanks. Eubanks scored 13 points, 4 rebounds for the Spurs. Exciting news for a former member of the Oregon women's basketball team, Adi Gilden, announcing on Instagram Monday that she will play professionally in Portugal. Gilden, who along with Maite Cazorla just finished her career with the Ducks last season, was a key contributor off the bench for Oregon in their run to the Final Four. And finally tonight, the U.S. women are 1 win away from heading to another World Cup final. Team USA able to take down host country France in last week's quarterfinals. Now they'll try to take down former Oregon State star Jodie Taylor and England. These two teams played one another back in March. That game ended in a draw.
England's a great team. England is going to be, they're going to be fit. They're going to be, amped up for this game as well. I mean, it's a World Cup semifinal, so there's no time to, be tired, and you're going to give it 100%. You're going to lay it out all on the field, and we know that, and we know it's going to take a full 90-minute effort.
It's a noon kickoff Tuesday with the game airing on Fox. I'm excited. I'm going to wear my U.S. women's shirt. I got one in support of the ladies. I'm going to wear it tomorrow.
And you know what I love? I see so many people who play college sports, and I've done a lot of research on it, and you don't really have a high chance of making it into the pros. And then when you see all of them going on to do big things, it's just an exceptional thing. So,
yeah, they're the best in the world.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Hayden. And coming up next on NBC 16 News at 11, Housing Project for Homeless Veterans, Bryant's Home, is getting a new look on the outside. We'll tell you all about the new improvements in less than 3 minutes.
Just announced. It's back, it's bigger, and it's better.
The Housing Project for Homeless Veterans, Bryant's Home, is getting a new look on the outside. New siding donated by the nonprofit group Reach Out Worldwide. The group is managed by the family of the late Paul Walker in partnership with Lowe's.
It's from a community we like to support, and most of the organization are veterans such as myself. It's definitely something that we wanted to support.
He says Cody Walker was a paramedic in Coos Bay. As a Marine, Stout says it is a special task for the organization to help a local veterans nonprofit when they usually handle national and international natural disasters. The work is set for next week. That is so exciting.
Oh yeah, and especially with 4th of July coming up, be sure to think of veteran this week.
Absolutely. Thank your veteran, and thank you for watching NBC 16 News at 11. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.
Sun care is self-care.